Love is the very essence of existence, the fragrance that makes life worth living. Without it, we are merely going through the motions, breathing but not truly alive, existing but not experiencing the depths of what it means to be human. Life without love is like a garden without flowers, a sky without stars, a song without melody. It becomes mechanical, routine, empty of the magic that transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary experiences. Before we begin, if you enjoy this video, give me a like, comment below about your thought and hit subscribe button so you don't miss any video inspired by Osho's teaching. Thank you very much. When we live without love, we live in a desert of the heart. We may accumulate possessions, achieve success, gain recognition, but there remains a hollow echo in the chambers of our being. We become like machines, efficient perhaps, but devoid of the warmth that makes us human. The poetry of life is not found in our accomplishments or acquisitions, but in the quality of our connections, in the depth of our feelings, in our capacity to open ourselves to another and to life itself. Love is not merely an emotion that comes and goes like the weather. It is a state of being, a way of relating to existence. When we are in love, not just with a person but with life itself, everything transforms. The mundane becomes miraculous. A simple cup of tea shared with a friend becomes a sacred ritual. The morning sun streaming through the window becomes a divine blessing. The laughter of children becomes music that touches the soul. This is the poetry that love brings to life. Many people confuse love with attachment, with possession, with need. They think love means holding on tightly, controlling, demanding. But this is not love at all. This is fear masquerading as love. True love is freedom. It is the ability to appreciate beauty without needing to own it, to care deeply without suffocating, to connect profoundly while respecting boundaries. When we truly love, we give space. We allow the other to be themselves, to grow, to flourish. We do not clip their wings, we celebrate their flight. The poetry of life emerges when we learn to love without conditions, without expectations, without the constant calculations of give and take. Most of what we call love is actually a transaction. We give something expecting something in return. We love someone because they fulfill our needs, make us feel good about ourselves, provide us with security or status. But this transactional approach to love kills its poetry. It reduces the sublime to the mundane, the sacred to the commercial. Real love asks nothing. It simply gives because giving is its nature, just as the flower blooms not for appreciation but because blooming is its nature. When we love in this way, we discover a richness in life that no amount of money can buy, no achievement can provide. We discover that we are not separate islands but part of an interconnected ocean of consciousness. We feel our kinship with all of existence. Without this love, life becomes prose. It becomes a series of facts, events, obligations, and routines. We wake up, go to work, eat, sleep, and repeat. Days blur into weeks, weeks into years, and before we know it, a lifetime has passed and we have never truly lived. We have never felt the ecstasy of complete surrender, the joy of losing ourselves in something greater than our small egos, the bliss of merging with another soul or with existence itself. Poetry is not just words arranged in verses. Poetry is a quality, an essence, a way of experiencing life. When we walk in the rain and feel each drop as a blessing, that is poetry. When we look into the eyes of a loved one and see the entire universe reflected there, that is poetry. When we sit in silence with someone and feel more connected than we ever could through words, that is poetry. Love brings this poetic quality to everything it touches. Children naturally live in this poetic dimension. Watch a child discover a butterfly, and you will see pure wonder, pure delight, pure presence. They are not thinking about yesterday or tomorrow. They are completely absorbed in the miracle of the moment. This is love in its purest form, love of life itself. But as we grow older, we lose this capacity. We become serious, practical, goal-oriented. We forget how to play, how to wonder, how to be amazed by the simple fact of existence. To bring poetry back into our lives, we must rediscover this childlike quality of love. We must learn to approach life with fresh eyes, as if seeing everything for the first time. The problem is that we think we know everything. We have labeled and categorized everything. We have put life into neat boxes and filed it away. But life cannot be contained in concepts. It is wild, mysterious, ever-changing. When we approach it with the innocence of not knowing, with openness and curiosity, we fall in love with it again. Love also requires courage. It requires the courage to be vulnerable, to open our hearts knowing they might be broken, to give without guarantee of receiving. Most people build walls around their hearts because they have been hurt. They decide it is safer not to love, not to feel deeply, not to risk. But in protecting themselves from pain, they also shut out joy. They create a prison of safety that becomes a tomb. The poetry of life cannot penetrate these walls. When we truly love, we accept that pain is part of the package. We understand that to love is to make ourselves vulnerable, and vulnerability means we can be hurt. But we also understand that this is a price worth paying. A life lived behind walls, protected but isolated, is not really life at all. It is a slow death. Better to love and lose than never to love at all. Better to feel the full spectrum of human emotion than to live in a gray zone of numbness. The poetry of love is found not just in joy but also in sorrow. When we lose someone we love, the grief we feel is a testament to the depth of our connection. The tears we cry are liquid poetry, expressing what words cannot. Even in heartbreak, there is a strange beauty, a poignant reminder of our capacity to feel, to care, to be moved by life. Those who have never known this depth of feeling have never truly lived. Love teaches us that we are not the center of the universe. It takes us out of our self-obsession and opens us to the reality of others. When we love someone, we begin to see through their eyes, feel through their heart. We discover that our perspective is not the only one, that our truth is not the only truth. This expansion of consciousness is essential for growth. Without it, we remain trapped in the narrow confines of our own ego. In loving another, we also discover ourselves. Love is a mirror that reflects back to us both our beauty and our ugliness, our strengths and our weaknesses. It shows us where we are still holding on, where we are still afraid, where we are still trying to control. It challenges us to grow, to become more than we are. This is why intimate relationships can be so difficult. They force us to confront aspects of ourselves we would rather avoid. But this confrontation is necessary for transformation. The poetry of life is also found in the small gestures of love. A gentle touch, a kind word, a listening ear, a shared silence. These moments may seem insignificant, but they are the threads that weave the fabric of a meaningful life. We often think that love must be dramatic, that it must be expressed in grand gestures and passionate declarations. But the deepest love is often quiet, steady, present. It is there in the everyday moments, in the simple acts of care and consideration. When we learn to love in this way, we discover that love is not something we fall into or out of. It is not dependent on the other person's behavior or on external circumstances. It is a choice we make, a practice we cultivate, a state of being we inhabit. We can choose to approach each moment with love, to see the divine in everyone we meet, to treat each encounter as sacred. This is the art of living poetically. Without love, we become hard, cynical, bitter. We see the world as a hostile place where we must fight for survival, where others are competitors or threats. We build our lives on fear, on the need to protect and defend. But this is a miserable way to live. It drains us of vitality, of joy, of the very essence that makes life worth living. Love softens us, opens us, makes us human again. Love is also the bridge between the individual and the universal. When we love deeply, we transcend our separate sense of self. We experience moments of unity, of oneness, where the boundaries between self and other dissolve. In these moments, we touch something eternal, something that exists beyond time and space. This is the mystical dimension of love, the dimension that poets and mystics have tried to express throughout the ages. The poetry of life is not something we can manufacture or force. It arises naturally when we are in a state of love, when we are open and receptive to the beauty and mystery of existence. It cannot be planned or scheduled. It comes as a gift, a grace, when we least expect it. All we can do is create the conditions for it to arise by cultivating love in our hearts, by remaining open and vulnerable, by saying yes to life in all its dimensions. In the end, what matters is not how much we have achieved or accumulated, but how deeply we have loved. When we look back on our lives, it is the moments of connection, of intimacy, of shared joy and sorrow that we will remember. It is the people we loved and who loved us that will have given our lives meaning. Everything else fades away, but love remains. It is the only thing that is real, the only thing that lasts. Without love, life has no poetry in it. It becomes a desert, a wasteland, a mechanical existence devoid of meaning and beauty. But with love, even the most ordinary life becomes extraordinary. Every moment becomes precious, every encounter becomes significant, every breath becomes a celebration. This is the gift of love, the poetry it brings to our existence. May we all have the courage to love deeply, to open our hearts fully, to embrace life with all its joys and sorrows. For in doing so, we discover what it truly means to be alive.